Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and immediately wished you could take it back? Maybe it was a harsh reply to someone you love, or a decision made in frustration that ended up costing you more than you expected. Yeah, me too. Emotions are powerful. They sneak in, hijack your thinking, and before you know it, your day, your peace, and your sense of self-control are out the window. It happens to all of us. And the worst part? We usually don't realize it until it's too late. But here's the good news. There's a way to change that. A way to stay calm, centered, and in control, even when life gets chaotic. And no, it's not about ignoring your emotions or pretending to be a robot. It's about learning how to master them so they don't master you. This is where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism comes in. Now, before you imagine a cold, stone-faced philosopher sitting in silence, let me stop you. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally strong. It's about developing the inner power to respond, not react, to choose peace over panic, clarity over chaos. At the heart of Stoicism is one simple but radical idea. We don't control events, but we do control how we interpret them. Let that sink in for a second. You might not be able to stop the rude email, the traffic jam, or the unexpected setback, but you can absolutely control the story you tell yourself about it. And that story, that's where your power lies. Because when you change the way you see something, you change the way it affects you. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 11 Stoic techniques, practical, timeless, and surprisingly effective, that can help you stay calm under pressure. These are tools used by warriors, leaders, and thinkers for thousands of years to keep their cool in the face of stress, conflict, and fear. Whether you're dealing with a demanding job, relationship tension, or just trying to keep your sanity in a noisy, fast-paced world, these techniques can help you create space between what happens and how you respond. And in that space, that's where your freedom lives. So take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you're not powerless. By the end of this video, you'll have a new lens to see the world through, one that helps you stay grounded no matter what life throws your way. Let's begin. If you're curious to see just how much control you can reclaim over your day, hit that like button now. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a practical strategy to stay calm under fire. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the number one emotion you'd love to master? Your insight could spark someone else's breakthrough. Ready to transform stress into strength? Stick with me, because in just a moment, you'll learn your very first Stoic technique to reframe any challenge and win your peace back, starting right now. Let's be honest. How often do we treat anger like it's something we have to feel? Like it's automatic? Like it's just who we are in the moment? But what if I told you that anger isn't natural, that it's not hardwired into us the way we think, but something we learned? Think about it. From childhood, we watch how people around us respond to stress, to insults, to failure. We absorb it. Maybe your father yelled when he didn't get his way. Maybe you saw people get what they wanted by raising their voice or slamming a door. And over time, without even realizing it, we picked up the habit. Because that's what anger really is. A habit, not a personality trait, not a destiny, a reflex we've trained through repetition, through stress, through ego, and even through the culture that tells us blowing up is somehow powerful or justified. But Stoicism flips that script. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it bluntly, any person capable of anger is a slave to it. That hits hard. He's not saying you're weak for feeling anger. He's saying you're giving away your strength the moment you let it take control. Because the instant you lash out, you hand over your power, not to the person you're mad at, but to your own reaction. Here's the truth no one talks about. It's easy to react. It's easy to yell, easy to explode, easy to fire off that email or that text. But you know what's hard? Silence, composure, restraint. And yet, that's where real strength lives. The Stoics believe that the most powerful person isn't the one who intimidates others, but the one who refuses to be ruled by emotion. And that's not about bottling things up or pretending you're fine when you're not. It's about reclaiming choice in the heat of the moment. Next time you feel yourself getting worked up, Pause. Ask yourself one simple but powerful question. Will getting angry help? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. It won't solve the problem. It won't bring peace, and it certainly won't make you feel proud of who you were in that moment. So what do you do instead? You don't feed the habit. You starve it. You breathe, you observe, you let it pass like a storm cloud, knowing that just because the emotion shows up doesn't mean you have to obey it. I'll be honest with you, this takes practice, but like any muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it gets. Anger doesn't have to define you. It's just a pattern. And patterns, they can be broken. So next time the heat rises, choose calm, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough not to need the explosion. Let's keep going. Have you ever felt the urge to raise your voice just to be heard? Maybe in a tense meeting, maybe in an argument with your partner, or maybe just trying to get your point across when everything around you feels out of control. It's a natural impulse. We think that if we speak louder, act tougher, or force others to listen, we're taking control. But here's the harsh truth. Trying to dominate others doesn't make us stronger. It just makes us louder. And that kind of power, it's fleeting. It burns hot and fast, and then it leaves you empty. Because no matter how much noise you make, if you can't control yourself, you've already lost. This is a lesson the Stoics knew well. They believed real strength isn't about controlling other people. It's about controlling your response, especially when emotions run high. It's about choosing composure over chaos, calm over conflict. Let me give you a real-world example. Picture this. You're in a work meeting. You've worked hard on a project and then, bam, someone criticizes it. Maybe they say it's not good enough or off the mark. The room gets quiet, your ego flares, your heart races. Every cell in your body wants to defend, attack, or prove them wrong right there. But what if instead of reacting, you paused? What if you said, "Thank you for the feedback. Let's circle back to this afterward so I can better understand your perspective." That's not weakness. That's power, real power. Because in that moment, you didn't just control the room, you controlled yourself. You protected your dignity. You modeled maturity, and you stayed grounded while everyone else was holding their breath. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, put it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And when he says power over your mind, he means the ultimate kind of control. The ability to not be shaken by someone else's mood or criticism or bad behavior. Because here's the truth most people miss. You can't control other people, ever. You can't make them like you. You can't force them to be kind or fair or even reasonable, but you can control how you show up. And that's the kind of control that changes everything. When you walk into a room with calm confidence, when you choose how to respond instead of being pulled like a puppet, you shift the energy, not just in the moment, but in the long run. People start to see you differently, not as the loudest person, but the strongest. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, ask yourself, is this worth losing my peace over? Is this a moment to react or a moment to rise? Because the truth is, every time you respond with restraint, you train yourself to be unshakable. And that's a kind of control no one can take from you. So don't waste energy trying to fix, change, or overpower others. Instead, master the only thing you ever truly owned, yourself. Let's move forward. Let me ask you something. When life throws a curveball, your kid throws a tantrum, your boss sends a rude email, or someone cuts you off in traffic, how do you respond? Do you snap? Shut down? Let the heat rise up and take over your body? Or kafam, do you breathe, pause, and choose your response? Here's the truth most people never talk about. Emotional calm isn't something you magically summon during chaos. It's something you build quietly, consistently, just like a muscle. We all want to be the person who stays calm under pressure. But that version of you, it doesn't show up by accident. It's trained. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They believed that emotional resilience isn't forged in crisis. It's built before the crisis, in the small, seemingly insignificant choices we make every day. Think of it like this. If you want to run a marathon, you don't start with 26 miles. You start by running a little each day, training your body over time. The same applies to your mind. Every morning you wake up and take 5 minutes to journal your thoughts. Every time you choose silence over snapping back. Every moment you reflect on your reactions instead of justifying them. That's a rep for your inner strength. Let me give you a real example from everyday life. Your child spills orange juice all over the kitchen floor. Again, it's not the end of the world, but it's frustrating. You're tired, you're running late, now you have a choice. You can yell, you can make them feel small. Or you can pause, breathe, and simply say, it's okay, let's clean this up together. That pause, that is training, that is power, not for the world to see, but for you to become. You see, building calm isn't about big, heroic gestures. It's not about quoting philosophers or doing a silent retreat in the mountains. It's in the tiny, invisible decisions you make when no one's watching. The discipline of holding your tongue when it's easier to lash out. The strength of listening instead of interrupting. The grace of forgiving, not because someone deserves it, but because you deserve peace. As the Stoics taught, self-mastery begins not in public victories, but in private restraint. It starts in your morning routine, in your thoughts before you speak, in the space between what happens and how you choose to respond. You don't wait for the storm to hit and then learn how to swim. You train while the skies are calm, so that when the pressure builds, your reflex is resilience, not reaction. So here's the takeaway. Start small. Build daily habits that strengthen your emotional core. It could be 5 minutes of journaling, a walk in silence, or simply asking yourself, is this worth my peace? Because over time, those little reps add up. And one day when the pressure's on and everyone else is losing their cool, you'll be the one who stands steady. Not because you're cold, not because you don't feel, but because you've practiced again and again choosing calm over chaos. That's real strength. That's Stoic power. And you already have everything you need to start building it today. Have you ever noticed how much of our stress comes from things we can't control? The traffic jam that makes you late, the rude email you didn't deserve, the weather that ruined your plans, the family member who still won't change. And yet, we get angry, we get anxious, because deep down, we believe things should be different. People should behave better. Life should go our way. But here's the hard truth, one the Stoics understood over 2,000 years ago. It's not the event that upsets us. It's our refusal to accept that we can't control it. Let that sink in for a second. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What if we stopped trying to force the world to fit our expectations, and instead trained ourselves to adapt? That's what real strength looks like. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself. Think about it. When someone cuts you off on the highway, you could scream, slam the horn, let your whole body flood with rage. But what does that actually change? Nothing. Except your peace of mind. Now imagine this. Instead of reacting, you pause, and you ask yourself one simple question. Is this in my control? That one habit, asking that question, can change your life. Because if the answer is no, then you don't owe it your energy. This isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about being strategic with your peace. It's choosing not to hand your emotions over to things or people you can't influence. Here's something that helped me. I started thinking of my attention like a currency. I only have so much to spend each day. And I began to ask, is this worthy of my energy budget? Is that rude stranger on the internet worth 10 minutes of your peace? Is that delayed flight worth an hour of your sanity? Is that one person's comment worth ruining your day? When you look at it that way, you start to realize most of what stresses us out isn't worth the emotional cost. The Stoics believe the only thing truly in our control is how we respond. Not what happens, not what others do, just how we choose to interpret and handle it. And when you take that power back, something incredible happens. You start to feel lighter, freer, stronger. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally wise. So next time life doesn't go your way, and trust me, It won't. Try this. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this in my control? And if it's not, let it pass like a cloud in the sky, because your peace is worth protecting. And every time you choose calm over chaos, acceptance over frustration, you're not giving up. You're growing stronger. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's stoicism. And it's a power you already have right now. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone pushed your buttons, cut you off in traffic, talked down to you at work, ignored your opinion in a meeting? Moments like these can feel like tiny battles, tests of your worth, your pride, your place in the world. But here's a radical idea. What if every conflict isn't something to win, but something to learn from? The Stoics believe that conflict isn't our enemy. It's a mirror that shows us where we're still ruled by ego, where we're still giving other people the remote control to our emotions. Let's be honest, most of us don't like what we see in that mirror. Now picture this. You're at the grocery store, you've been waiting patiently in line, and someone, without a word, just cuts right in front of you. Your heart rate spikes. You feel it in your chest, your jaw, your fists. The urge to say something, to prove a point, flares up. But in that moment, you have a choice. Do you respond out of ego or out of mastery? See, the Stoics taught that every insult is a training opportunity, not to toughen your outer shell, but to deepen your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You always own the option of having no opinion. Things are not asking to be judged by you." That's powerful because most of the time, what's really at stake isn't justice, it's our pride. It's the voice in our head saying, "How dare they?" Don't let them get away with it. But ask yourself, is this really about justice, or is it just about me? Here's a trick I use in moments like that. I pause and silently ask, what am I really protecting here? My peace or my ego? 9 times out of 10, it's ego. Choosing not to react doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. You're not letting someone win. You're choosing not to play a game that costs you your mental clarity. Think of it this way. Every confrontation is like a mental gym session. The tension, that's resistance training for your soul. And the more you lift calmly without flaring up, the stronger you get. Now, I'm not saying you should be passive or let people walk all over you. Stoicism isn't about silence. It's about strategy. It's about learning when to speak up with purpose and when to walk away with peace. Even Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And sometimes what we're craving isn't money or things. It's validation, control, superiority. Conflict feeds those cravings. Mastery dissolves them. So the next time someone tests you, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this making me better or just bitter? Because the truth is, you don't need to prove your power. You just need to own it. And real power? It's quiet. It's calm. It's choosing to be unshaken, even when the world is shaking all around you. That's not just stoicism. That's mastery. Let me ask you something simple, but powerful. Where are you right now? And I don't mean what city or room you're in. I mean, where is your mind? Because if you're like most people, it's not here. It's thinking about that thing someone said yesterday or worrying about what could go wrong tomorrow. We live in a world full of distractions, regrets, and what-ifs. But the Stoics had a radically clear truth for us. Suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from how we think about it. Dwelling on the past, fearing the future, that's where the real pain lives. The cure? Come back to the now. See, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the most powerful men to ever live, used to remind himself daily, you live in the present. That alone is what you own. The rest either has been lived or is uncertain. Think about that. The only moment you truly control is this one. Not 5 minutes ago, not next week, just now. But here's the challenge. Our minds don't like to stay here. They drift. They replay old wounds. They invent future disasters that haven't and may never happen. And so the practice of staying calm, it begins with staying present. Let me give you a real-life example. You're lying in bed, the lights are off, The house is quiet, but your mind is racing. What if I mess up that meeting tomorrow? Why did they say that to me last week? You're not resting, you're reliving, rehearsing, reacting. Now imagine this instead. You notice the pattern, you pause, you take a slow breath, feel the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the sheets, the weight of your body, the sounds around you. Suddenly you're back, not in the past, not in the future, but right here. That's not just mindfulness. That's mental discipline. And the Stoics were masters at it. They trained themselves to notice when their thoughts wandered. And instead of following those thoughts like leaves in the wind, they anchored themselves in the moment, through breath, through movement, through simple awareness. Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. So how do we do that in daily life? Next time you're stuck in traffic, notice your hands on the steering wheel. Feel your breath. Listen to the sound of the engine. Don't fight the moment. Return to it. When you're in a conversation, really listen. Not to reply, but to understand. Catch your mind when it wanders and gently bring it back. It's not about perfection. It's about practice. And the more you return to the present, the less power the past and future hold over you. Let me leave you with this. Every peaceful person you've ever met, every grounded, calm soul has learned this one simple truth. Peace is not found in the past or the future. It's only ever available right now. So don't miss the life that's unfolding in front of you while chasing ghosts and shadows. Take a breath, look around. You're already home. Let me ask you something that might hit close to home. Who are you still carrying? Maybe it's an old friend who betrayed your trust, a boss who humiliated you in front of others, a partner who walked away without a second glance. You might not talk about it. You might smile and say you've moved on. But deep down, there's a sting, maybe even a slow-burning anger you can't quite shake. Now, here's the hard truth that the Stoics knew long before modern psychology confirmed it. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish the other person. It punishes you. You're the one carrying the weight. You're the one rehearsing the pain. You're the one letting the past rent space in your present. And here's what's wild. Even if you're completely silent about it, even if no one around you ever hears a word of complaint, your body feels it. Your mind spins with it. And your energy, slowly drained by something that should have been left behind. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it this way. You may fetter my leg, but not my will. Meaning, even if someone harms you physically or emotionally, they don't get to control what happens inside you, unless you let them. And resentment? That's handing over the keys to your inner peace. Now, don't get me wrong. Forgiveness isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's not about excusing bad behavior. And it's definitely not about saying it's fine when it's not. Forgiveness, through the lens of Stoicism, is not a moral obligation. It's an act of self-preservation. It's saying, I refuse to let your actions take up any more space in my life. You may have wronged me, but I won't let that wrong define me. Here's a powerful practice you can try, something deceptively simple but life-changing if done consistently. The next time you catch yourself replaying a painful memory, pause. Notice the story your mind is telling. The inner monologue of, how could they? Or I should have said, and then and drop it. Just drop it. Like a bag of rocks you've been carrying around for way too long. You'll be amazed how heavy it was, only once you set it down. This is what the Stoics did. They didn't just talk about peace. They practiced it. They trained their minds not to cling to anger, not because they were saints, but because they were wise enough to know bitterness is a poison you drink, hoping someone else will suffer. So ask yourself this, what would it look like to let go, not to forget, not to excuse, but to release, to reclaim your time, your energy, your attention from people who no longer deserve a seat at your mental table? Maybe it starts today. Maybe it starts right now. Take a deep breath, name the person or the event you're still holding on to, and then choose your freedom over your fury. The Stoics didn't live easy lives. They lived powerful lives, and they knew if you want to be truly free, you have to stop being a prisoner of your own pain. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and instantly wished you could take it back? Maybe it was a snappy reply to your partner, a sharp comment to your kid, a text you fired off before thinking it through. We've all been there. In fact, most of us don't even realize we're reacting. We're just responding to life as it happens. But here's the Stoic truth that can change your life. The real battle doesn't happen in what they said to you. The real battle is in that tiny space between stimulus and response. Let me say that again. The space between what happens and what you do about it. That's your battlefield. That's where your power lives. And too often we give it away. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you explode. A coworker questions your idea in a meeting, you shut down or lash out. A family member brings up something that always triggers you, boom, you're spiraling again. But what if we trained ourselves to pause? Not for hours, not for days, just a few seconds. The Stoics believed those few seconds could change the direction of your entire life. Here's how. Let's say someone says something rude to you. Your gut reaction? Fire back. Defend yourself, but instead try this. Step 1. Name what you're feeling, just in your head. I'm feeling angry. It sounds simple, but it's powerful, because the moment you name your emotion, you create space between you and the feeling. You're no longer consumed by it. You become the observer, not the reactor. Step 2, breathe, seriously. Take 1 deep breath, maybe 2. Breath is the most underrated tool in the world. It slows your nervous system and brings you back to the present. Step 3, ask yourself, what outcome do I actually want here? Do I want to prove I'm right? Or do I want peace? Do I want connection? Or am I just feeding my ego? When you do this, you shift from being emotionally hijacked to becoming emotionally sovereign. You go from reacting to responding. The Stoics weren't afraid of emotions. They just refused to let emotions run the show. They knew that wisdom isn't about having the fastest comeback. It's about making the right move at the right time. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, reminded himself often, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. And that's the point. You can revoke it. You can pause. You can choose. It doesn't mean you'll never get angry again. It means your anger doesn't get to drive the car anymore. Imagine how different your life might look if you pause before reacting in your most heated moments. How many relationships might be stronger? How many regrets could have been avoided? How much energy could you save by responding with clarity instead of reacting out of impulse? So the next time you feel that surge, that urge to shout, snap, shut down, or strike back, pause, breathe, name it, and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? The Stoics would say, be intentional, be measured, be free, because real strength isn't in the volume of your voice. It's in your ability to remain calm when chaos knocks on your door. Did you know that Stoic calm isn't about suppressing your emotions? It's about responding with control and intention, no matter what life throws your way. This isn't about forcing yourself to stay silent or pretending nothing is wrong. It's a skill you build every single day. Every moment you feel tension, frustration, or discomfort, see it as a golden opportunity to strengthen your calm and inner power. Just like an athlete trains their body, your mind needs its own workout, not with weights, but with persistence in how you respond. When you learn to pause, take a deep breath, and stay grounded in the present, you become untouchable. No matter how chaotic the world outside gets, your dignity and peace remain intact. And the best part? You don't have to wait for tomorrow or some perfect moment to start. You can begin right now. Train your breath, hold your words when needed, and choose your responses deliberately. That's the path to turning every stressful experience into a stepping stone for growth and mastery. Ask yourself today, have I responded with intention? Have I allowed myself to build calm? Or am I still letting emotions run the show? Life will never be perfect, but how you face it, that's what makes all the difference. So, are you ready to start the journey toward mastering your emotions and holding steady calm in any situation? Let's begin right here, right now. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Join our community of calm conquerors. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss a practical Stoic strategy to turn stress into strength. If you found value in these techniques, tap the like icon. Every click helps us keep bringing you timeless wisdom for modern life. Know someone who could use a little more peace in their day? Share this video with a friend, a colleague, or anyone who's ever felt overwhelmed. And we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us which Stoic exercise you're most excited to try this week. Your insight might spark someone else's breakthrough. Ready to turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth? Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Let's build our emotional strength together, one breath at a time.